Okay, so today we're going to learn how to felt a sushi roll with the seaweed on the outside. So first you're going to grab about 3.5-ish grams of white, about 2 grams of dark green, and if you need your green to be a little bit darker to make it into seaweed, sometimes you might not be able to find the right color, so you can add a little bit of black. You probably won't need this whole bit, but just a tiny tuft of black and a really tiny tuft of whatever color you want to put in the center of your sushi roll. If it's salmon, then you can use like a pinkish color, and then you're going to grab a felting needle. So put your colors aside, and first we're going to start with our white. So what we're going to do is roll our sushi roll. We're going to roll the wool very tightly like this, and we want to make sure our ends are tucked in. We don't want it to go really wide like a spring roll. We want it to be really tight and small. We want to get all the air out, so as tight as we can. Turn, holding it in with your fingers all the way till you get to the end. And when we get to the end, we're going to hold it in place. We're going to grab our needle and we're just going to gently poke across the top, and that will start tangling our wool. So we only do it a couple times, and then we'll turn it a little bit more, go back and forth the length of our roll, and turn it again. And what that will do is the little barbs on the needle, you can see them, they will get tangled on the scales. And that actually causes it to tangle and compress. And when you pick up your roll, you'll notice it's starting to get matted together. This little bit here still needs to be poked in. So we're going to go across, back and forth. And now if we've done that a little bit, it won't come undone. So there we go. So you can still keep going, but you don't want to poke too much in one area because that will actually start to flatten it down. So we want to poke a few times back and forth, then turn. So now you'll notice it starts to look pretty compacted going this way, but of course a sushi roll is not long like this, so we're going to start poking downwards so that your sushi roll is a little bit shorter. So we're going to make this side flat. And we want to go pretty gently, not too deep, or else it will really, really compact quickly, but just a little bit, just so we can get these little areas that are a little bit fluffy poked in. If you notice that the sides are starting to kind of flare out, you can also just turn it back on its side and fix that. This little bit's popping out, so you can actually either cut it off or you can wrap it around and just poke it in. So now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. We're going to flatten it down. So see how this side's starting to get flat? Do the same thing over here. So it's starting to get a little bit more compacted. It's starting to look a little bit more like a sushi roll. So there's that little piece that's still fluffing up here, so we can go just attach it in. We can flip it back over to the other side, compact down the ends, make them flat. So it's starting to look more like a sushi roll at this point. So you can keep going if you like, or you know, if you want it to be a little bit fluffier, you can just start adding your seaweed on. So next what you're going to do is you're going to grab some of your green, and you want to be able to have it go around like this. So, you know, you don't need to have the whole amount right away. You have a bit, and then you want to add a little bit of black, like just pull a tiny bit and lay it on. Just a tiny bit, add it on here. And then what you want to do is pull it apart. You can pull it apart and lay it on upside down. Like, as long as all the fibers are going in the same direction, it's okay if you go like this and flip it up. You just want to make sure that black really gets mixed in there. And you want to do this quite a few times. And then you can add a little bit more if you want. Or if you start to notice it's a little too dark, you can add a little bit more green. So you don't want a piece all stuck together. You want to kind of gently pull out just a few fibers at a time. So just be gentle. I'm just going to add a little bit more black, and that'll start to look more like proper sushi seaweed. So I'm going to do this on this side too. Okay, yeah, so if you want to wrap it the whole way around, you can actually kind of split this in half, and you can put them in a row like this, so one on top of the other. So it makes a long piece. And so what you can do is you can just wrap it around and make sure it's the whole length, and then just gently poke in your needle, very gently. You don't want to go too deep because it will start to indent it a little bit. So you just want to gently add it in here, and then you want to turn it like this. If it's fluffy, you want to poke that in. And we can add a little bit later if there's some areas that don't get enough. And see, so this area has a little bit too much black. You can actually pick it off and put it in a different spot, or you can take it off entirely and put it to the side. But really, when you look at it from afar, those colors will really mix together. So don't worry too much about it being perfect. You can add it at the end too to even it all out with a little bit more black or a little bit more green. So we'll fix this up on the top later, but see how you have some extra? You can either fold it over like this, really wrap it tightly, or you can cut it off. It's up to you what you want to do, but I think I'm just going to wrap mine around a little bit more. So I'm just going to make sure it's nice and tight. Okay, so it looks a little bit fluffy still, so we can keep going. Same as we did sort of at the beginning when we rolled up the white. We just want to go back and forth along the length and compact that green on there so that it doesn't look so fluffy. So it looks all integrated like one piece. So, and along the top, you might notice it's kind of overlapping a bit, so you can move it kind of with the tip of your needle to the side. This. You might want to poke down the top again, just to really show this is the top of the sushi here. There we go. I'm going to flip it back and do the sides again. And go to the other side, and I'm going to define sort of the edge here, and I'm going to flatten the top again. So this is starting to really look like a sushi roll now. So whenever you're ready, you can either continue compacting your sides, or whenever you're ready, you can grab your little bit of whatever color you want to put in the center. Could be orange, could be pink, whatever type of sushi you're going to do. So you probably need even less than this. So I'm just going to take a small bit like this. I'm just going to pinch it into a ball. I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to gently poke it in. I'm going to use my needle to bring the wool to the center. There we go. So there you go. There's your basic sushi roll. You can really work at it and make it absolutely perfect, but that's the basic shape you have there. This is sort of an oversized one, which is great if you're going to do it with kids, because if they do it a lot smaller, they might poke themselves. But this is a basic shape you have here. And there you go.